I'm talking about Pokemon Sun is my number 7 game of all time, and I'll tell you why. Before you turn off the video, you got to think about it this way.
Talk about this one too. Unbelievable. This is I think the first time I've known about all 3 of your picks.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's
which
crazy.
Is, I'm telling you, man. The further up we get to the list, the more
Pokemon Sun thing is weird's going on here.
Some things amiss here.
Some things.
Who knows?
I don't have Sun, but I do have Moon.
Right. Well, and that is a tradition that we've maintained since, Gen 2 probably, because you ended up getting Gold.
I had Crystal.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I started with Crystal.
So it started with.
But I would have picked Gold. Yes.
Yeah, it started with Gen 3. We have unintentionally been getting the opposite versions of Pokemon games when they come, because every Pokemon game, like mainline game, comes with 2 versions.
Well, I wouldn't say unintentionally. Sometimes it's intentional.
Yeah, the only time that I remember it being intentional was with Scarlet and Violet, because both of us liked Miraidon more than Koraidon. And then you were like, "No, fuck you! I'm taking the cool motorcycle dragon."
Hell yeah.
And I was like, "All right, I'll take Scarlet," which ended up working out because I like a lot of the Paradox Pokemon in Scarlet. Dude, Slitherwing is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. I fucking love that guy so much. He's so cool. But yeah, so with Pokemon Sun, that was the first Pokemon game that came out that David and we weren't. I felt so much more separated from my friends that play Pokemon than I ever have in my entire life, because growing up there was always you were always getting Pokemon games with me, and then in high school Pokemon X and Y came out, but we were still within like 10 minutes of each other. So like when we were playing Pokemon, that's when we both got back into it.
Yeah.
Was with X and Y. So Pokemon Sun and Moon were the first games that I remember being excited about again to come out, which hadn't happened since Heart Gold and Soul Silver. Those are the last games that I knew were coming out that I was excited to get on release. And so with Pokemon Sun, I downloaded the demo where they have you walk around the first town, and like you get special items each day leading up to the release of the game if you play the demo. And I was in college. It was 2016. I was a sophomore in college. And yeah, and I just remember going back to my apartment and playing Pokemon Sun and just loving it so much. It was the first fully 3D character model you got to play as. You moved not in 8 directions, but in any direction, which made sense because the 3DS had a joypad, so it felt good to move around there. You were fully proportioned. And also, you could play with every fucking Pokemon game in the Pokédex. Or every Pokemon in the Pokédex. Did not matter. This is before... what do they call it? Dexit?
That's got to be the only game that does that then.
Yeah. I mean, I think every game before that lets you do it, but these games were connected to Pokemon Home and Pokemon Bank.
Oh, right. Because, like, you couldn't get, like, You couldn't, like, take shit from, like, Gold,
yeah,
and put it into like black, you know?
Yeah, no, this was a game where if you had the means, you could get Pokemon from like Game Boy Advance games to DS games to 3DS games. It was a pain in the ass, but you could do it, and you could play with any Pokemon in the Pokédex. There was nothing off limits. So the replayability of Pokemon Sun for me was huge, because I would just start the game over with new teams essentially, and I would raise them from the very first stage of their evolution. So I got super familiar with the cast and super familiar with the areas, and the fact that we had ride Pokemon that replaced HMs was also huge. I don't think enough people talk about that, how convenient that was, that you didn't need Surf anymore, you didn't need Fly, you didn't need Rock Smash or whatever. It was just, oh yeah, get on Tauros and fucking zoom around. I'm trying to think of other... it was the first games with regional variants, which I still maintain is one of the coolest ideas that Pokemon has ever come up with. And I feel like was a decent substitute for Mega Evolutions, which they got rid of in Gen 7.
Yeah, Raichu and Ninetales alone make it worth it.
Yeah, Alolan Ninetales is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love like Unicorn Rapidash, dude.
Unicorn Rapidash is really good. Yeah, regional variants are just, they fucking rock. And I love that we still kind of get new Pokemon. It's kind of like in Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle when a character gets an EZA. It essentially like makes that Pokemon relevant again. Like when they had a Alolan Muck who is a poison dark type, and it's one of the strongest type combinations in the game. And it's just cool that like they are making Pokemon, they're giving them different typings and different moves and signature moves, and
They made Pokemon great again.
they made Pokemon great. It was 2016. And so there's that for it, but also it has such a strong cast. And usually I know when people talk about Pokemon games, they don't ever focus on the story. If there ever is a story in a Pokemon
Unless
game.
it's black and white.
Unless it's black and white,
jerk
which
off over it.
yeah, it's like whatever. I think we didn't grow up with those games, so I have no personal attachment to N or Getsis or all of those characters. But you know who I do have a connection with? I have a connection with Gladion and Lily and Lucamine, or Lucamine. I don't know how her name is pronounced. And that whole family, because I am fully convinced that Pokemon Sun is not a story where you're the main character, but I am convinced that Lily is the main character of Sun and Moon. And I'm gonna break it down for you. First of all, the first cutscene in the game, the first thing that you ever see in the game is from Lily's perspective. And it's her running through the Ether Institute with Nebby in her bag, trying to get away. And then the last thing that you see in the game is the picture of you, her, and Hao, because she's going to Kanto to become a Pokemon trainer. And it's just the way that her theme plays at the end of the game. There was one time I played it and it made me so emotional because I was like, oh yeah, this is her journey. And like she ultimately is the person that gets the box art Pokemon, because Nebby evolves into Cosmoem, which is the second evolved. This is also the first and I think only Pokemon game where the box art Pokemon have an evolutionary line, which was crazy. It was such a crazy twist that like Lily was the one that had Solgaleo or Lunala the whole time, and then it evolves to protect her, and then she's like, you know what? I think you should catch Nebby because you're an actual trainer. I'm not. Yeah, dude. Oh my god. And then you get to the end of the game. I'm just all over the place because I have so many positive things to say about this game. And you get to the end and you find out that Alola is like in the grand scheme of things, it's a newer, it's new to the gym leader and Elite Four thing. And so in an effort to legitimize Alola and like the Alolan Pokemon League as like a real thing, Professor Kukui, who gives you your Pokemon in the beginning of the game, he is essentially founds the Elite Four, which are comprised of like trial members or trial givers, who are essentially like gym leaders throughout the game. The Elite Four is all them except for Kahili, the golf girl with the two cannon. So you get through the Elite Four and you're fighting all of these people that you've already met, that you already are attached to because you went through whole storylines with them. And then you get up to the peak. You get up to the peak of this mountain where the champion battle is supposed to happen. And you walk up and you see an empty chair. And you walk up to the chair and it gives you the option to sit down. So you sit down in this chair, and then who walks up the stairs to meet you at the summit but Professor fucking Kukui, who this whole time has been like, well, this is what you're supposed to do, man. You are supposed to be the first champion of Alola, but only if you can beat me. I'm your final test. And he throws out the starter that you left behind, that you and your rival left behind, that your Pokemon is weak to. And it's just crazy. And the music that they play during that champion fight is so celebratory. And it's like the first Pokemon game where you becoming champion is actually like, it's like a really big fucking deal because you're the first champion of that entire region's history. And on replay, if you go back to the Elite Four, you're still the champion. So instead of you going to fight the champion of the region, people are coming to fight you So every time that you go to the champion battle, it's someone different. And it's so sick and it's so cool. And it really felt like the last hurrah for the handheld Pokemon games, because it was the last one. The one right after that was Sword and Shield, and they were like console games. So Pokemon Sun and Moon really felt like a celebration of everything that had come before. It felt like a celebration of the Pokemon franchise as a whole. You get to the battle tree, and the first people that you encounter at the battle tree are Blue and Red, who challenge you to a battle. Or I think his name is Green in Sun and Moon. I can't remember.
I think it was always in Blue.
Yeah? It might be.
If they changed it, right? No, because Green was...
Was that Japanese?
Or I guess it would be Leaf.
Yeah, her name is Leaf.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I don't think there's a Green.
You fight Red and Blue, and they aged up. So, like, they're accurate ages in this game where they're, like, young adults, and they're like, hey, so we hear you're the champion of this region. Well, we're the first champions of our region. So I think you got to fight us. And it's so cool. And then don't even get me started on the differences between Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, because that's a whole other can of worms. It eliminates the satisfaction of Lily's story entirely for this Ultra Wormhole thing where you get Ultra Necrozma. And anyway, the best new content that Ultra Sun and Moon added was Team Rainbow Rocket, which is essentially the epilogue of those games, where Giovanni, leader of Team Rocket, gathers all of the leaders of every evil organization in every generation prior. They essentially join together as a team, and you have to go through a fucking gauntlet of fighting each and every one of them with stacked teams, with the legendary Pokemon that they were trying to capture. And it's so sick. And it's such a cool idea for a Pokemon game. But yeah, dude, those are my favorite mainline Pokemon games. The original Sun and Moon. You know, even if Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon added cool things, I feel like they sacrificed more to make those things happen. Also, How becomes the challenger for the championship instead of Kukui, which I think also eliminates part of your character's journey. Become the first champion and fighting the starter that you left behind. I'm gonna stop. I gotta stop, dude. This could go on forever, and no one wants to hear me talk about why Pokemon Sun is the most underrated Pokemon generation of all time.
That guy. See that guy right there?
Hold on.
That is the only... That would be my contender for why it's the best one, because of that guy.
Rowlet.
Dude, I have a lot of Rowlets.
You really do.
I got a sleeping one right there. I got him. I got a giant plush. I got a smaller plush. I got a keychain. Yeah. I got a little figure. I got the shirt. I got one in my car.
Yeah.
That's 7.
That's 7 Rowlets.
There might be more that I can't even remember.
I don't know what prompted this.
I don't know either.
Obsession with Rowlet, but
it's the combination of Rowlet and Decidueye, the 1-2 wombo combo that just I fucking love them. They're so cool.
They're very cool, which is very rare for you to. We talked about this recently. Your favorite starter for a very long time was Charizard.
Yeah, until this game came out, it was Charmander.
Yeah, and then Rowlet somehow usurped the title,
which is crazy because it's I thought, once I have a favorite, it's usually my favorite forever.
Yeah,
it's something's got to be really, really good to dethrone it.
Yeah,
and Rowlet is really, really good.
Yeah, well, and we talked about how crazy, because my favorite starter for a very long time was Blaziken. I loved Torchic. I loved Blaziken. I ran through the Hoenn Elite Four so many times with my level 100 Blaziken. And it was just, I didn't think anything could top it. And then I played Pokemon Violet with Sprigatito, with its hidden ability and the move pool that it has and the ability that it has and the stats that it has. And I fell in love with that whole line, and Meowscarada and Florigato and Sprigatito. And I, for a very long time, was very hesitant on officially making the declaration. But I also tried to play with Blaziken in that game, and there was just something about using Blaziken that just didn't feel right. It was like putting on my favorite middle school baseball mitt and trying to play catch with it again, and realizing I think I've outgrown it a little bit. So officially, hard launch. I think my favorite starter is Sprigatito, like of all time, which is crazy.
I'm just waiting. We're both Team Grass now. I'm just waiting for the new Mystery Dungeon game.
Dude, when new Mystery Dungeon drops,
fucking
and I get to be Sprigatito and have a partner Score Bunny, I think it's
gonna be over, man.
It's gonna be the best Mystery Dungeon of all time. Sorry, explorers of time, you have to take a backseat. But yeah, it's just people sleep on new Pokemon too much.
Yeah,
I feel like new Pokemon gets too much shit, and we are in a year where we're getting Gen 10.
Yeah, this even Sun and Moon doesn't even feel like new anymore.
No,
it's like
it was only 2 generations ago, but
that's damn near 10 years ago already.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and now we're coming up on Pokemon's 30th anniversary, 2026, which is doesn't feel like it's around the corner. But this year, 2024, the only new Pokemon game that we have coming out, like mainline-ish, is Pokemon Legends Zygarde, or ZA.
Yeah.
And there's no news on a new mainline game, and most likely it's probably going to be coming out in 2026, which will be the exact 30-year anniversary of the Pokemon franchise.
On that new Switch,
yeah.
But
so
yeah, fucking yeah. Speaking of Sun and Moon, it's very much like your Ghibli shirt here. I equate Sun and Moon to it's like the Spirited Away of Pokemon games.
Yeah.
Well, the first time I went through it, I was like, "Nah, this ain't it."
Yeah.
And then Ultra Moon, aka second time I watched Spirited Away, I was like, "Wow, that was fucking awesome."
Yeah.
And it's not even that I prefer Ultra. I think it was just the second time I played it.
Yeah.
I just got to replay Base again because I don't know, because they were very, very different games.
Yeah.
And I played, and I was like, "This isn't Pokemon. I don't like this."
Yeah.
And then I do like Mudsdale though. Mudsdale's a fucking tank.
Dude, Mudsdale with stamina goes
shit
real hard. Yeah.
Yeah, Mudsdale, the Decidueye, and Alolan Rapidash would have to be on my team every single time I play that game.
Yeah.
Which I think I do have to again because it's been 9 years since I played it.